we preach clarity at Hoops Lounge, and in October we did our Hoops Lounge Awards, and we're going to go back. We're going to back to what we did, and we'll compare, and we'll give our end of the year awards. Phil, our first award was called the 50 for the most unexpected guy to get 50 points in the game. I picked Derrick Rose, which didn't pan out. You picked Gallinari, which also didn't pan out. Who do you give it to now?
I'm trying to have to see the list. 50-point.
I'm going with Kobe. That's the easy answer for me.
Yeah. That's. I didn't actually think he'd make it to 60. Like I thought that was going to be like a little bit high. Yeah, I think Kobe's a bit surprising in that one, but I mean, taking 50 shots. Yeah. All right. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so our next award was the Bynum Gang Award. If you've been following for years, Bynum Gang is the Bynum effect, a dark cloud that a player carries to a franchise whenever he goes there. If you look everywhere that Bynum's played, from the Lakers to Philadelphia to Cleveland and Indiana, bad things always happened when he was there or right after he left. In the preseason, I picked Lance Stevenson with the Clippers, which wasn't a bad one. And you picked Meta/Kobe with the Lakers.
Yeah. I mean, that's a bit of a tough one. But in terms of guys I'd actually go for now, I mean, I kind of want to call Roy Hibbert now, sticking with the Lakers theme, but I think it was a team that was supposed to do a little bit worse than they did. So a new guy, trying to think of a guy who really just stunk it up for them.
I'm going to go with Morris. Everything went bad there. I confused the two. I think it's Markieff, the one who went to Washington. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Markieff.
Markieff. Marcus went to Detroit there. The new guys, I'm just trying to think of someone who just ended up going to Houston. So like just pick any name, right?
Ty Lawson.
Yeah, sure. So let's call Ty Lawson, even though he played well with Denver, Ty Lawson there. And although I can't really call him, right, because with Indiana, they're actually in the playoffs now. But okay. So, but he did play there for a while, and they were significantly worse. So yeah, let's call Ty Lawson.
Yeah, and Morris is great because Washington played horribly too. So there you go. Our Rodney Dangerfield Award for guys who get no respect, guys who deserve to be all-stars, getting awards, getting attention, but don't. I had picked Derek Favors at the start of the season, and you picked Nerlens Noel.
Yeah, I think both those picks are still valuable. I think Favors had a fantastic year. Part of me actually wants to pick Karl-Anthony Towns because he didn't make an All-Star game. And I know that sounds weird, but I feel like he was one of the better players. Like on a lot of people's lists, he's like a top 3 All-NBA or the third team. For guys who didn't get a lot of respect, there's so many in this league, but I think Kevin Love played a bit better. But no, I'm gonna have to actually go with my guy who I didn't get to give credit to was in Myles Turner. I don't think anyone really expected him to be able to come in and contribute, and I think he just jumped that ladder. And as much as they're kind of giving him some credit now, I think no one gave him any shot to do anything early on, and he ended up starting a bunch of games.
I'm going with Jokic in Denver, a guy not a lot of guys have heard of. He was outstanding.
Oh, that's especially good considering where he was drafted. I like that one.
Yeah, and he was, drafted, I think, in the 40s last year, and no expectations at all. This guy, he had a couple games where he nearly had a triple-double by the third quarter. I mean, this guy's outstanding, both ends of the court, and he's not a household name, and he will be. He will be soon. He's just playing in a small market. Phil, the Lazarus Award for a guy who's risen from the dead, a guy we completely wrote off, whether it be injury or age or whatnot. I had Wesley Matthews at the start of the season, and you had Roy Hibbert. I'm going to go with Michael Beasley because that guy went to China. He went to Never Never Land. I mean, there were issues with mental health, people were saying, and he came back and just really shot the lights out for Houston the last month of the season.
I like that. The two other guys that I kind of think deserve to be on that list, Derrick Rose. I think people have wrote him off more than he's produced this year, and there's a few guys who kind of like were on the back end, but I'm gonna go with Rose. Like I get what you're saying with Beasley, but I think Rose played more games than we thought, and maybe even Dwyane Wade, because without Chris Bosh, he played in a bunch of games, played really well, and got them to the playoffs. Like people are forgetting that they lost LeBron James a couple of years ago. Chris Bosh is supposed to be their best player. I think Dwyane Wade in his year this year, the Lazarus effect come back out of nowhere. There's a lot of guys who make that list, but yeah, no, I'm gonna give it to him.
Okay, and our final Hoops Lounge award was an easy one. Well, it depends on who you are, but our finals, we had picked, and this is crazy, I picked Cleveland and Memphis in the NBA Finals. Honestly, Memphis last year, 80%. Well,
that was just a bunch of bad luck, to be honest.
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of people realize last year that 80% of the season they were just neck and neck for the best team record in the NBA. And I picked Cleveland to win it all. You had picked the Miami Heat versus the Thunder and OKC to win it all this year.
Still have a shot. Technically, we all have a shot.
What's your prediction for the finals and the winner?
Listen, if Chris Bosh is back, especially with Joe Johnson, I would be sticking to that. But I'm not a fan of most of the teams in the East, so I think I'd go Cleveland, and it hurts because I still think OKC can do it. I mean, look, my logical mind is Cleveland, Golden State. I'm not gonna be an irrational fool, but I still think that both those teams, Miami and OKC, have a shot just because of the talent they have. Maybe the Raptors, but look, my logical side is Golden State and Cleveland. I hate saying it, but that's probably where it's going to go, just because I haven't seen in the regular season OKC have some of that dominance that I was kind of hoping to see.
Okay, so your finalists are OKC and Cleveland. Mine, I'm going to go with Cleveland and also OKC. My mind is, you know what? Toronto's not there yet. DeMarre Carroll's not completely healthy despite what he says. I think Boston's definitely on the come up, but they have very little playoff experience. On the Western Front, I love me some Kawhi. I always will, but I think they've been inconsistent, especially for the last month, up and down. LaMarcus Aldridge with that lingering pinky finger injury. He's not himself right now. And Kawhi, at least offensively, he's really been up and down. He will disappear for stretches of games, and sometimes games completely, and that's something he can't do at all. And I have to harp back to last year, the 7-game series against the Clippers. He really stunk up the last 3 games. And so I worry he's 24 years old. I don't think he's at that point yet. I hope he is. And in terms of Golden State, they are a juggernaut. They are ridiculously good. But it's something I've been harping at for over a year now. They have not had a major injury yet to the squad. I have not seen a major injury to Steph, to Clay, or Draymond. And I have this eerie suspicion that one of them is going to have a major injury, and it's going to have a huge litigating impact on these playoffs. So that's why I go back to OKC. It's really fascinating. If you look at the narrative, Kevin Durant's in a contract year for the first time in his life. And then there's this other thing, this media push. Is he going to go to Golden State? Is he going to go to Washington? Blah, blah, blah. So this could be a closing of a window for him in West too. Like, you got to include him in that conversation, because are they going to play together for the final time? So I think all these things cope together. I'm honestly going to say it. I think KD is going to rise to the level, and I think Oklahoma City is going to win the championship this year.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope I see that. Like, in terms of teams I want to see win the championship, I think they're up there with the Spurs, just because I really want to see Tim Duncan get that 6th. Like, I think that's the whole reason around the Spurs for me. And KD, I want to see that team stick together. Yeah, like I think OKC is that team that can beat anyone, but they're that team that can self-implode, right?
Yeah.
So, but when the game slows down, I think it's going to come down to, can Westbrook limit his turnovers and slow down the game? Because we've seen with Golden State, they don't have a lot of kinks in their armor, but when you slow down the game, don't give them those fast breaks,
Mhm.
That's when you can kind of punish them. It's gonna be interesting how they play their lineups on both ends. But I actually think that if those two teams face each other, it's all going to be predicated on Russell Westbrook. I think
Mhm.
between the wings, I think Kevin Durant will get his, but I think between Draymond, Harrison Barnes, Iguodala, I think they'll slow him down enough that what's going to matter more is how Russell Westbrook is contained. And I think
We
if
haven't.
he's sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I think if he's able to keep the focus on him and kick it out to other players and not be selfish, I think they have a great shot because I don't think Curry can stay in front of him.
Mhm.
But I think if he just tries to be too hot-headed, that's where those turnovers will start, and that's where you're just going to see like a 10-point lead appear out of nowhere for Golden State.
Yeah, and we have to mention the Clippers. I think they're the biggest wild card of all in the playoffs. Blake Griffin was spectacular last year. He was nearly averaging a triple-double last spring. The thing is, he's just coming back now. They have to redevelop chemistry. He's got to get his conditioning up. That's a lot of question marks for them, but who knows? They have the firepower. They have decent coaching. They don't have much of a bench, but, same old issues. We'll see with these guys.
And this is a big year for them too, because we're talking like if teams need to be disassembled, like OKC, Clippers kind of in that same world. They've been that team for a bit now.
So I have OKC winning it all. Who do you have?
I'm wanting OKC to do it or Santa. My gut feeling says you can't stop Golden State 4 in a row. So I'm going to say Golden State, but my Phil wants this to happen, and my long shot is going to be OKC. So I'm in the middle, but if you maybe bet the house, I'm saying Golden State.
Yeah, and Justin, I mean, it goes without saying he's got Cleveland, and just to parlay to our Twitter handles, Justin's Cavs Canada, mine is Montreal Mark, Phil is Sporting Phil.